longtime speaker here, favorite of all. He'll be speaking about resources for informing or speaking to inform. I'd like to welcome Denis Shevchuk to the stage. Denis will, his project is entitled A Closer Look at Ourselves and What We Do. Denis, good to see you.
I think that there is at least one thing that Yulia, Daniil, myself, and Margarita have in common. And the thing is, each of us probably asked ourselves, what Toastmasters is good for, and why should I keep going to it? That is one of the questions that I've been asking myself for quite some time. To help me answer this question, I decided to do some research, and today I want to share some results with you. Namely, I will tell you about 3 positive things you can get from Toastmasters, and one arguably weak side of the system. So let's start with the positive. The first positive thing about Toastmasters actually stood out to me when I was doing my research. And before naming it, let me quote some people, some experienced Toastmaster that I read. There is a social network, LinkedIn. Has anyone heard of it? LinkedIn social network. And there is a special Toastmaster International group. So I was reading through it, and I found an interesting topic called Why Are You Staying in Toastmasters? And 3 answers, and there were many of them, but 3 answers stood out to me. Scott Horn, I don't know how his last name reads correctly, CEO of a company. In my 30 plus years as a member, 30 plus years as a Toastmaster, I've never met a more exciting, dynamic and helpful group of people than my Toastmaster friends. The second person, Richard Elliott, once again an owner of his company. I first joined Toastmasters in 1980 for the people I met and for what I could learn. 30 years later, I stay for the same reasons. The third person, Wayne Choate, doesn't matter. Wayne, once again a president, CEO of a company. As a member of Toastmasters for over 30 years, I continue to be a member first and foremost because of the people. You probably have already started seeing a pattern. The first positive thing about Toastmasters is a wonderful community of sophisticated people that you can find in the Toastmasters. The second reason is rather obvious but specific for our club, for our English-speaking club in a non-English speaking country. And 6 out of 9 newcomers standing here at the beginning of the meeting said that they were interested in practicing the English. The second thing, benefit, is speaking English. The third benefit, which not so many people found interesting and beneficial about Toastmasters, but which I personally can subscribe to, is, once again, let me quote 2 fellow members of Toastmasters back in 2010, when we were writing an article about our club. We interviewed members of the club. So let me quote a couple of members. The activity within our club helped me to arrange and clean up not only my speech, but also my mind when it came to taking part in business and private meetings, the first one. The second one, right away I could see some improvements in my writing ability. Believe it or not, I can now structure my thoughts better than before. Meaning, it makes you a clearer thinker, being a member of Toastmasters. There is a problem, a weak part of Toastmaster system though. When I was conducting my research, the point was not to find as many benefits and praise for the system, but see some criticism as well. I read several articles criticizing the system and didn't like most of them, but two stood out to me. The first one, teaching to the test and the terrible Toastmasters, or when sub-goals strike back. The second one has a very nice title, The Cons of Toastmasters. Cons, meaning pros and cons. Both of the articles have different points, but there is one common point that I can subscribe to. The point which the author of The Cons of the Toastmasters called, and I liked how he called it, show up and we'll reward you. Show up and we'll reward you. What did the author mean by that? Meaning that even if you spend 10, 15 years in Toastmasters, if you advanced communicated bronze, silver, gold, distinguished Toastmaster, you're still not guaranteed that when you leave Toastmasters and try to impress people with your speeches, you will succeed. You're not guaranteed that, unfortunately. You can achieve many awards within the system, but you can still stay not very good speaker. To give you an example, we have a lot of distinguished members in our club, but for some reason, how many speeches have you delivered? Thomas delivered 3 speeches, and he's the best speaker in Moscow, 3 speakers, even though we have many distinguished Toastmasters. Why does it happen? The first reason is some Toastmasters claim that one of benefits of Toastmasters, one of good things, is that you can choose your pace, meaning you work as fast as you can. But there is one good rule in life, I think, that you've heard of. I'm very sorry. I'll ignore it for the time being. No pain, no gain. If you don't push yourself, you won't become better. You can spend 15 years, deliver 30 speeches, become advanced communicator silver, but if you do a speech a year, you won't become a good speaker. Well, with that in mind, meaning that being a Toastmaster, you definitely find awesome people. You definitely practice your English. You will become a clearer thinker, but you're not guaranteed to become a good speaker unless you put in some hard work. With that in mind, I hope that the next time you start asking yourself about Toastmasters, you will find your answers easier.